Hello and welcome to That's Pretty Good Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
And that's pretty good.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Not quite yet.
So this is the second of the podcasts. First one I feel like was a little bit more structured because we did top 10 games. But we're trying a couple of different things here.
Yeah, we're just going to kind of go on random tangents this time. I think that's more fun. We were going to have a guilty pleasure movies and music and games and, that type of thing. And we might talk about that a little bit, but it ended up being a little tougher than I thought to think of a bunch of those things.
And you know why I think it was so hard?
Huh.
Because I started thinking about why it was so hard to think about those things.
Oh, yeah.
Because now that's something that I do. I overthink things.
Well, if you... Okay, so
but
the whole
it's hard
point,
to be objective. And
that's what I was going to say,
like
yeah.
this, so it's good.
Yeah, exactly. You don't think, oh, well, everybody else hates this. You just think, oh, that's good. I like it. It must be pretty good then. There's a few that you know.
And there are some things that I'm like, this shouldn't be good. Objectively, it's probably not good.
Yeah, it's probably not that great, but I sure do love it.
I think nostalgia plays a factor in some of that. Stuff I like too.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I was also thinking, like, isn't my whole life just all guilty pleasure?
Well, I even it's kind of funny to even say guilty pleasure movies. That's like, wait, just hold on. It's not quite what it sounds like.
Well, that sounds like porn, Jeremiah.
Well, yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's not what it is, though. It's like something that...
I'm very guilty.
I assume everybody knows what that means by now. Maybe they don't,
that
though.
should just be extremely guilty.
Yeah, regular guilty pleasures.
Like this Coke that I'm drinking, that's guilty pleasure.
Yeah, you said that it was
Coca-Cola
burning your organs or something.
It's burning my insides.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I drink Coke too.
Well, so that's a free advertisement for you, Coke. The next one's gonna cost you.
Burns your insides.
We reach tens of people on this podcast, so
that's an accurate number. Tens of people, I would say. Now this one here, though, this might be way less.
I might watch it, and that might be it.
I'm not gonna watch this.
You're not gonna watch this one?
No, because I'm gonna have to upload it, and I probably will listen to it.
Listen to it.
Yeah, I did last time. You always think, oh, I'll just not. It kind of makes you, even something like this that's to a very small audience that we know thousands of people aren't going to listen to, it still makes you a little self-conscious, like, maybe I should go back and make sure I didn't say anything really dumb.
Yeah, maybe I should write my lawyer. Like, listen, yeah.
Lawyer, yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're even getting paid to do this or anything.
No.
Unless Coke wants to sponsor this. So if you're out there, Coke,
they might pay you to not talk about them anymore.
At least 20 people. And I can get them buying Coke products.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If they feel like... If they were going to anyway...
if they were going to purchase a Coke anyway, I could probably get them to do it.
Yeah.
I've got that kind of influence.
Just in case they forget about that product, which is pretty much impossible.
Master of influencing somebody to do something they were already going to do anyway.
Yeah. That's a pretty unique skill set, I would say.
It's an art.
Yeah, it's an art.
I don't know what kind of art, but it's up there. Probably up there with the martial arts.
Yeah. Let's not get too carried away. I think it's a thing that no one has to even do. So I guess that is sort of an art.
It's like a magician or something.
Yeah,
nobody's got to do that.
But somebody's got to do it.
No,
I guess that's not what that means.
How many people really enjoy like magic these days, like magic shows?
Well, everybody just tries to figure out how they did it. Nobody just enjoys, oh, wow, that was interesting, or that was neat, They're like, oh, I saw that, oh, I bet it's this, I bet it's that.
I feel like unless you're like at a kid's birthday party or you went to Vegas, you're probably not going to be watching a magic show anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's a very niche market.
Yeah, that's true.
It's probably a few more people that like magic than will listen to this podcast. And if you like magic, I apologize. But it is kind of dumb sometimes. Because we all know it doesn't really exist. But if that's your thing, knock yourself out.
Now, I have seen some videos of
Actual magic.
No.
As a warlock.
I've seen some videos that show them doing it on the street, and I really do think some of those people are just kind of dumb people, and they really just think, "Oh wow, that was magic," that I don't know how they couldn't have done that. It's crazy. It's impossible.
And where like an average person would be like,
It's
well, that was neat. How did you do that?
Yeah, wow, I can't believe that. I don't understand how you did it, but obviously you aren't magic. But some people, I don't think they're like that. They really just don't understand that that's not a real thing.
That's true. I mean, there are all those conspiracy theory people too, so I can imagine that there are people that actually believe in magic.
Flat Earth and stuff.
Flat Earth.
Yeah, flat Earth.
You know what? There's a guilty pleasure. I love watching like videos and like reading stuff on all these different conspiracies. But you got to be careful with those things because you're thinking, all right, that's not true. I know that's not true, but you go down that rabbit hole, for long enough, and you're just like in the back of your mind, if you don't stop yourself, you're like, what if the Earth is flat?
I know it's not, but what if it was?
And like, out of all the conspiracies, flat Earth, makes the least sense to me out of any of them. It's like, what does any person have to gain?
They're just trying. I swear they must just try.
Who's profiting off of that? Like, what person would profit off of the Earth being flat or round?
It had to just be somebody who thought, hey, I'm going to just say this crazy thing and hope somebody pays attention to me because I'm saying this.
Or was it Galileo who got in trouble?
Over
that kind of stuff?
Like basically like the government at the time didn't like him teaching things. I think that might have been Socrates.
And maybe both of them.
It was probably everybody back then.
But anyway, it's like, what if it's like the people who were against him's relatives? Like they're like, oh, it's time to get our revenge. The time is now. We'll get him back for saying there it's round. It's like a lineage thing.
They couldn't have possibly understood whoever it was, and whatever the case. I can't believe they thought anybody else would get on board with it. And then the fact that they did. That's even crazier.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot of people.
There's way too many people.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like Scientology. There's another reason for people to not like us is Scientology is pretty dumb. Nobody listening to this is going to...
I think we're pretty much in the clear. I think
that's
the majority
of
people think that Scientology is dumb.
Yeah. Nobody that we know is... I don't think I know a Scientologist, do you?
I don't think I do either.
No. I barely know anybody with any religion. Honestly, that's not just the normal thing here.
Well, we are in the Bible Belt, so that's going to be most of what you see.
I don't think I know of anybody who does anything else.
I don't think you're ruffling any feathers to say Scientology.
Yeah,
that's dumb.
There's all these people around, like the Tennessee, this area we're in. They're like, oh my Scientology. They really picking on my religion here.
Oh man, they kicked me right in my Scientology. It really hurt.
Hurt right in the Scientology.
Oh, I gotta pray to L. Ron Hubbard.
I was doing trivia with my parents earlier, and that is the person. L. Ron Hubbard has the Guinness World Record for the most amount of books published.
I was actually going to say that.
You're going to say
like 2 weeks ago when we were at trivia at one of the restaurants up here, that was the question. It like gave you 3 options, and like it was like Agatha Christie, L. Ron Hubbard, and like Charles Dickens were the choices. And I told them, like, always bet on crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Agatha Christie, that's the detective, right?
I don't know.
The French.
You mean Murder She Wrote?
No, I don't mean Murder She Wrote. What is his name? He's got like is it Perot?
Dude, I don't know.
He's like it's a bunch of famous detective
I've heard her
novels.
name before, but I can't think of what she wrote. Like Charles Dickens, I know some of his stuff, but
yeah. Well, L. Ron Hubbard, I guess. What all has he's written that many books?
Dude,
I thought it was just a couple of big ones.
He wrote a bunch of Scientology stuff. Like he just kept going. It's
okay.
It's like some of it,
just
his early stuff is like science fiction stuff, which is a good thing to transition into a religion.
Same thing with Mormonism. Same deal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I guess we do know some Mormon people.
Know some Mormon people.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
But, even the thing with Mormon is like, even if I don't believe in what they're talking about, it's like at least they're generally nicer people. It seems like to.
So yeah, well,
like Scientology, like everything you hear about them is like, oh, they're suing people left and right. And
well, you got to be.
You're Tom Cruise.
Yeah. It seems like it's all celebrities that are Scientologists, huh? I guess. Well, you can't afford to be unless you're a celebrity. From what I hear,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a big red flag, is it?
Those Thetans.
I gotta get those levels up or whatever. I have a vague understanding of that.
I don't understand.
Not
like
sure.
You put your hands on some reader. Or something.
Yeah, they're like metal handles or something, and like they tell you how much you have, and they're like, "Better get some more. Better buy some more of those."
I mean, really talking about like the guilty pleasure stuff. Like when I say conspiracies, are really just I kind of like listen to stuff about all kinds of religion stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I like to know about all that stuff, even if I don't believe it's something.
Yeah, definitely. Like watching that old like cartoon about Mormonism, of like explaining it. That
South
was
Park?
No. that was good too, but the actual one that was made by Mormons, you know.
Oh, I did watch it.
Oh my gosh. You don't believe a single thing in there, but it's very entertaining to watch. It's crazy stuff.
It's been a long time since I watched it, but it was decent animation for the
time.
For the
well,
budget,
it was like in the 70s, wasn't it? The one I'm thinking of. There's probably multiple ones.
I thought it was 80s, but I mean, it very well could have been 70s.
Yeah.
Well, there's a tangent and a half right there. Didn't expect to get off on
I had no plan for any of that.
But are there any movies you can think of that's a guilty pleasure just to get back on track?
Gosh, I really planned on. I just couldn't think of any.
I can think of a couple.
Well, you say a couple, and then maybe I'll.
The one that came directly to my mind when I thought of the subject was Kung Pao.
Oh yeah,
I love that movie.
I've never seen it,
dude. I love that movie, but it's so stupid. It is like they just took an old kung fu movie, put his face in there, and like redubbed it and shot a couple of new scenes.
What year did that come out? It's like
late
90s, early
late 90s, early 2000s.
I remember when it came out, but I never saw it.
I didn't watch it in the theater or anything. But where I worked at the video store, I saw a bunch of random stuff all the time because I could rent whatever I wanted to for free.
And did you watch movies while you were there? Like, did you have them planned?
A funny story about that. When me and Brock, my cousin Brock, worked at the video store with me in high school too, and we would work every Friday night together. Almost every time we'd like when it was busy, we'd just pop in Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls in there. And like for the longest time, I knew almost every line from that movie because I'd seen it for like 1,000 times.
Now that's something else, is like a movie that you just watch 1,000,000 times and you have no problem watching it 1,000,000 times.
I mean, maybe that's a subject for another time.
I could think of some of those.
Maybe next time we'll do that. It'll be more consistent. But
so it was. Wait a minute. What was the Kung Pao?
Kung Pao, Enter the Fist.
Okay.
It's one of those. It's subjectively, it's not a good movie. It doesn't have a good structure to it. Like, I really hate the ending of it. The ending of it's horrible. But, I mean, by the time I've already seen most of the movie, by the time that comes up anyway. But, I don't know what it is. It's like, there's other movies like that. It's like, where they throw out a lot of jokes, and some of them
land, and
some of them don't. But I feel like it's one of those where enough land for me.
That's
that I can enjoy. It's not like Scary Movie 4 where like almost nothing lands for me. It's like Naked Gun.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
I will say this: Naked Gun does have a little bit more structure in the story department.
Well, that's pretty sad.
Well, especially the first Naked Gun. There's a structure there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a clear storyline,
and there's just jokes at every point.
It's a very loose story in Kung Pao. So.
Yeah. Okay. I need to watch that.
Yeah, you should watch it sometime.
I mean, it's just so many movies to catch up on.
Ironically, I think Steve Odenkirk, the guy who did Kung Pao, I think he wrote the Ace Ventura movies.
Oh, yeah.
At least the second one. And I just mentioned that. So
oh, yeah.
Maybe I just like him.
I don't even remember the Ace Ventura movies. I've seen them, but I don't really remember them that well.
I've always thought the second one was better than the first one.
Okay.
It's the one that's got, I think, more consistent lines through, like more stuff that you can just quote. It's more quotable.
Yeah.
First one definitely probably has the more consistent story, but it's just not as funny.
Oh yeah. Well, that's another thing we were going to do sometime is sequels that were better than the original, and sequels that are really terrible. I mean, that's pretty easy. I think we could do that sometime.
So you can't think of any movies?
Man, I don't know. For some reason, I'm just blanking.
Dude, I'm telling you, you're being like
too hard on
yourself. He's like, no, that's a good one.
Well, I like a lot of I've been watching a lot of older movies for the past couple months, and I wouldn't say they're a guilty pleasure movie necessarily, but they're ones that a lot of people now would just think are either cheesy or stupid or pointless or
like what?
Just outdated. I don't know, like all the John Huston movies I was talking about a while back, like Treasure of Sierra Madre and African Queen and stuff like that.
I think some of those are still held in pretty high regard.
They hold up pretty well.
I think with some old movies, not all of them, but you really have to think of when they were made.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of put yourself in that mind frame. Like the first Star Wars. It's like, this still looks pretty good if you're in the mind frame of this was made in 1969. Look what else was there.
Yeah, you can't, because a lot of those, it's kind of rough around the edges. You go back and watch it now. But you do kind of compensate for that, and it kind of works out. As long as you know ahead of time.
I feel like it works the same way for video games too.
Yeah, yes. I mean, like slow down and flicker and stuff on old games.
Technical limits. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah, as long as it's still fun and they got the job done, that's all that matters, really.
I was also going to say, even cheesy 80s, 90s action movies.
Yeah,
I enjoy those, and they're a lot of them are very similar.
And
there's always some guy giving a one-liners well, how did that feel?
How'd you like that? How you like them apples? Yeah. No, I watched Die Hard the other day. I'd never seen Die Hard. Don't know how.
Never seen Die Hard?
I don't know how I avoided it. I finally watched it the other day. It was okay.
First one's pretty good.
I probably would have liked it better if I'd watched it a long time ago, but it was okay.
And see, and that's another movie series thing. Die Hard, the first movie, kind of somewhat believable. Right, it's it doesn't get too crazy. He's not fighting a whole army of people. He's trapped in a building.
It's pretty believable.
What's he do? He walks through glass with man, and then these newer Die Hard movies, he's jumping a motorcycle and to a plane and stuff.
They gotta up it every time.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. I don't even like Fast and Furious movies, but the first one
was a movie. I guess.
It was reasonable. It's he's trying to catch these thieves and they drive cars, okay, whatever. And then now it's now they're running away from a submarine and with a tank on ice. And it's I don't even, how'd that get there?
Yeah, but you just gotta keep upping it every time until it's ridiculous.
It's if Paul Walker died, get me a sub in here. We gotta have some.
Gotta fill the void. Yeah. Well, there is one part of Die Hard that stuck out to me. It's been a couple weeks since I watched it now, but the one part I thought was, that doesn't seem right, is where the driver is in the basement or the parking garage or whatever, and he doesn't hear all these guns going off and crazy stuff happening, and he's in the same building.
Yeah.
He's in the bottom of the building or whatever. And their explanation for that was he was listening to music. There's music on in the car.
I am surprised they even gave an explanation for it at all.
They're hey, people are going to be saying, does that guy not hear all this stuff going on?
I feel a new movie wouldn't even care about that. It's whatever.
They've got too much other stuff going on to worry about a plot hole like that.
But yeah, a lot of those action movies, a lot of Schwarzenegger movies, Stallone stuff, a lot of them blend together, but I can sit there and enjoy watching most of them.
The guilty pleasure thing, I'm thinking a good example of that is how but especially I like Columbo.
I like Columbo too.
And that seems like a guilty pleasure when you say it, but I don't think of it that way because I'm always just saying, hey, it's better than you think. It's not like what you think. But that's a good indicator that it is one of those.
Well, here's it's something like Columbo and some of those older movies you were mentioning.
Yeah.
I feel if you watched it at the time, you were an adult that watched it at the time, it wouldn't seem like it should be a guilty pleasure.
Right.
But when we're like late 20s, early 30s, it's like, are you watching Columbo? What are you, an 80-year-old?
You're an 80-year-old man, yeah. But they're good though.
They're pretty. That's like
most of them.
Every Columbo episode is like a movie.
It is. It's like
a mini movie.
It's like
some of them are the same length as a movie.
They mostly are, and it's like that one time where I'm like, yeah, we or you said it, maybe you binge watched Columbo.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I watched like
one episode.
I watched a couple episodes, and it's like, oh, well, you binge watched 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They're like an hour long or more sometimes. Yeah,
some of them, if you're lucky, is an hour long. Most of them's an hour and a half.
That, especially that first episode that Steven Spielberg directed, that's a good one to get people like okay, at least watch this one at the very first one, and you probably won't hate it as much as you think.
I feel like a lot of people, when you talk about guilty pleasures, would put stuff like those murder documentary stuff that's on
like
Netflix, all those random things.
Well, that's another thing. There's not.
I don't really watch those. But
are you talking about
CSI or something like that?
Oh gosh,
I can't watch that. But
stuff
but
like
you know,
that.
a lot of like, or they would be like, well, I like my stuff like Survivor. And
that's got to be a guilty pleasure, surely. Like reality shows.
Even people who like that, I think, would agree that that's guilty pleasure shows.
Well, like Jersey Shore or something that people were into for a while. It's like even they tended to say, it's
I shouldn't like this,
but I watch it every
TV
time.
And I watch it.
Yeah. That is something that I can't say that though because I don't watch those.
No, I don't watch those. I mean, I watched Survivor when it first came on for a couple seasons, but then it kind of the newness of it kind of.
Oh yeah, like this is something different. I
mean, and I was still in like high school when it came out. So what else did I have to do but turn on the TV and see what's happening on this new show?
What are some shows that you used to see on TV and you would turn the channel immediately?
I would turn the channel immediately.
Like you would immediately get off there.
A lot of people hate me for this, but MASH.
Oh, yeah.
I can't watch.
Like as soon as you see that on, you switch the channel no matter what, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh my god. My dad likes to watch that all the time.
Yeah.
That might have something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe I saw it too much.
That's kind of the opposite of a guilty pleasure. It's like, I don't think that's technically a bad show.
No,
but I don't want to watch it.
No. Yeah. I don't want to watch it. What about you? It was like, what's something that...
Oh, gosh. As a kid, it was Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Really? You hated that?
I hated that show. Every time the intro would come on, I'd switch it as fast as I could. And it wasn't because I was scared of it. It was just I don't like horror-themed, like, scary stuff,
That is a guilty pleasure of mine. I like crappy B-horror movies that are funny to me.
Yeah.
Now, I think they have to be funny to me.
Yeah.
They can't just be like,
can't just be bad.
Whatever, bad. They have to be funny.
Yeah, okay.
Because we used to rent random horror movies all the time in high school, and like we'd go over to like Lucas's or something and try them out. Like a big one, it's really big now, but when we first watched it was a big Troll 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just found it at the video store and watched it because that was back when the internet wasn't,
everybody didn't
almost nothing went viral on the internet those days. So.
Yeah. And it's like back then it was like going on a treasure hunt or something. You're going to find this hidden gem thing, and it's so much fun when you do.
There would be those ones that we would like rent and we'd watch like 15, 20 minutes of them. Like, man, I can't even do this.
Like Donkey Kong Country.
Oh,
we really tried to sit through that movie.
I thought it would be one of those that was like funny bad.
Like they say dumb things and you laugh or whatever, and it's corny or something. It was just so bad.
It's like incredible, cringe-worthy bad. It's like,
well, okay, there's a question. So, like a cringe compilation, is that a guilty pleasure?
I think it would be.
Cringe stuff is always a guilty pleasure.
If you put a whole episode of Donkey Kong Country in front of me, that's a cringe compilation.
Yeah, it really is.
It was that bad.
And we were watching the movie too.
And I can watch Super Mario Brothers Super Show, which is super corny,
but
be fine with it.
It's not anything like that.
But this is like Donkey Kong Country. That cartoon was just so...
And the animation
was terrible. The voices were terrible.
Yeah.
like the writing was horrendous. I don't know. Like that was like a perfect storm of garbage.
Perfect storm, yeah. Man, that was the worst. We should try to watch it again sometime and just see if we can get any farther at all. Because I really want it to be funny bad. It's just not.
Like I remember watching it when I was a kid. Some I don't remember thinking it was like great or nothing then. But man, did I just block out how bad it was?
Well, you have different standards and everything's different as you go through the years, whatever.
And plus, it's like, oh, it's a video game cartoon.
How can this be? Yeah. How can I go wrong with that? Yeah.
But there were some legitimately good video game cartoons. Like, I thought Earthworm Jim was pretty good.
Yeah.
And, I can still enjoy the Super Mario Brothers and the Zelda one, even though it's like nothing like the story from Zelda.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They didn't have a lot to work with back then.
Back then, there wasn't much to base it off of, really. Okay, I'm gonna cut right here, and then we're gonna do the other half after.
Right, so I've got another movie that I thought of that's guilty pleasure stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ernest movies.
Okay, there you go.
Objectively,
not classic
not
movies, great. Not the best.
And that's where I said nostalgia kind of comes in.
Yeah, if I saw those today for the first time, I probably wouldn't think nearly.
But I don't know. I feel like I can tell, at least with him in those movies, that he really liked doing that character.
Yeah.
And it adds some charm to it.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps it. Overall, though, they're not the greatest story structure. It's all really simple stuff. It's like those jokes for people's like, well, Ernest goes here, Ernest goes there.
Yeah, that's true. It's easy to make fun of, but I mean, to be fair, it wasn't trying to be, Oscar winning.
And they were super low budget, dude. I mean, it's clearly directed at kids.
Yeah.
Especially Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh, that was like a kids
movie,
scary kids movie, yeah. And it was one of the better ones. It's still pretty funny, honestly.
I can also appreciate that it was like most of them were shot here in Tennessee, so
yeah, actually right here, like right where we're at.
Not far.
Just down the road, basically, between here
and Nashville.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting. That was definitely would you say that's the best Ernest movie, is Scared Stupid?
No.
Which one do you like the best?
I will always like Ernest Saves Christmas the best.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? It sounds bad, but that's also the one that had the biggest budget too, man.
Really? I thought it would be the
Christmas, because they actually shot stuff in Miami for.
Oh yeah, okay.
For that one, everything else was super low budget.
It just seemed it was the first one, I believe, right?
There was another one
that was like
before,
kind of
but it was like not really, like a big movie project.
Yeah,
but it was the first like big one.
Well, somebody
got recognized.
Somebody like AVGN or somebody talked one time about how younger people may not even know who Ernest is.
That's probably true.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned it one time
I just say, hey, you remember Slinky Dog from Toy Story?
That was Ernest.
Yeah, that was Ernest.
Remember that guy that Jackie married on Roseanne? Oh, you don't? Well, that was Ernest anyway.
Well, you might now, because Roseanne's coming back like next week or something.
That's weird.
It is weird. They're just running out of ideas.
Fuller House. Roseanne.
Do you think they could have came up with a better name for Fuller House?
No.
That's definitely got to go in the guilty pleasures, right?
Fuller House. Yeah. Well, I didn't watch it, but
even Full House.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, I even felt like that was a guilty pleasure watching
I did too, but I still like Perfect Strangers, Family Matters. I still watch those and enjoy them. I still watch Home Improvement, and that's very much a guilty pleasure.
Pleasure for sure. Yeah.
God, it's so good.
I can't go back and watch that now, but it is definitely a guilty pleasure.
Bathe myself in the 90s nostalgia of Home Improvement.
Yeah.
JTT, Tim Allen.
It does bring you right back to the 90s, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Watching that. Certain things really do. They put you back in that time period more than others.
And also, there's some things like that make good, like just background. Like I don't have to pay attention to it.
Yeah,
I can come in and know what's going on, but still be doing something else.
Right.
Like, you know what I was real bad to put on when I did some work from home back in the day. Take a guess. It's a TV show.
One that you haven't just talked about. One that we haven't.
We haven't mentioned it yet.
Growing Pains.
No, but that's a good guess because Used to spam that intro to you all the time.
But I didn't think you actually watched it that much,
No,
especially recently.
Actually, that kind of goes back to the thing. Most of the time when I saw that was on TV, I would turn the channel, but
Yeah.
got a little bit too thick. That's an Alan Thick joke.
Yeah, it's just the fact you have to say that is pretty bad. But I don't know what was it?
Coach.
Oh, you know what? I watched Coach not that long ago,
dude. I could just turn it on, not have to care about it. I'm like, Luther.
Yeah, who's died recently.
Oh yeah, he did. Jerry Van Dyke.
Yeah, sure did.
It's also weird that the guy who plays Dauber, like the really stupid guy in that, also voiced Patrick in SpongeBob.
Bill Fagerbach or something.
Fagerbach.
I think that's his name. For real.
I don't know his name.
Let me look that up.
I like how I know Jerry Van Dyke, but I'm like, I don't know that guy.
That guy? Oh, what do you expect me to know him?
What am I, some kind of nerd?
I mean, of course I know Jerry Van Dyke on Coach.
And Craig T. Nelson.
I heard that Craig T. Nelson was, who was it the other day?
I can only think of one other thing with Craig T. Nelson in it, and that's Poltergeist.
They wanted him for something else, a show or a movie or something, and then they ended up having to give it to somebody else because they couldn't make a deal with him. But I cannot remember who that. I was just hearing about that.
I'm even gonna say I feel like the majority of sitcoms kind of fall in guilty pleasure.
They do,
except unless it's something like The Office or something where
it's more made for. Yeah, it's a different type of thing.
I mean, it's actually got some good comedic moments in there. It's not.
There's more substance.
It's more structure to it overall.
Because the old sitcoms, they are literally just there.
They were meant to be. I can sit down and watch this 30-minute episode. It doesn't really have to fit in anything unless I see it to be continued at the end of that. I ain't worried about it.
And it's made so all of your family can handle it. Like old people can watch it usually, and younger people can at least get through it, So I guess that's the whole point of them.
Meant to be time wasters.
Unless it's there's like Seinfeld too. It's a sitcom technically, but it seems
I'm
like
not
the
saying
best
all
sitcom
sitcoms, but like a large chunk of them,
especially the ones in the 80s and 90s. Yeah,
like Bosom Buddies or something.
Yeah,
nobody's watching that for like any kind of integrity.
Yeah, just by the name, it's not got much integrity, I guess. Or how about theme songs?
Guilty pleasure theme songs?
Well, yeah, sure.
Okay. Probably all of those stuff I was mentioning in Perfect Strangers as the most uplifting theme song of all time.
How about the Mr. Belvedere one?
I think that's just a guilty pleasure because that really terrible note that guy hits.
That one note, yeah. That's
Status quo. Whoa.
I've still never watched that show.
I thought he was a black guy. Until you corrected me.
That's what you said last time. You're like, I didn't even realize till just recently that Mr. Belvedere's a black guy. I'm like, but he's not a black guy.
I've got to be confusing it with another show with a butler.
I guess so.
It's not Fresh Prince, I know.
Yeah. I don't know what you're thinking of, but it's not that.
It's some other 80s.
Unless I'm crazy and I'm wrong, but I think he...
No, you're right. We looked up the picture. It wasn't what I was thinking. There was something else I was thinking of, and I don't know what it is.
For some reason, when I think of Mr. Belvedere, I picture Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil?
Is it because
Mr.
Belvedere has a mustache or
Probably.
something? I guess. I don't know. Because I've never even watched Dr. Phil.
Dude, we should pitch that to a remake of Mr. Belvedere starring Dr. Phil.
He'd be totally on board for that.
Yeah, I mean, all he wants is money anyway.
Yeah. And I'm sure he loved Mr. Belvedere. It could be Dr. Belvedere.
Dr. Belvedere. It's like he put himself through medical school while being a butler.
And now he's like 100 years old. Pretty old back then in the 80s or whenever. I think it was in the 80s, right?
So wait, like back in the 80s, was butler still like a respectable job?
Oh, it was like only English, like
professional English types. Like, if you think back to those, like Mr. Belvedere, he was the lead character in the show, the butler.
The butler, yeah.
What's his name? Jeffrey from Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
He was a likable character, and nobody thought like, oh, you're just a butler.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Do you know anybody who has or has had a butler?
No.
I've met people who have had a butler.
Who?
People that are like, remember that time I told you about the Middle Eastern guy who had all the Neo Geo games?
Yeah.
He had a butler.
Wow, he was here?
Well, where I don't know where
where he grew up.
I guess where he grew up,
Okay.
or whatever. He had a butler, and that's why he was looking for a Neo Geo. Mm-hmm. Was his butler threw away his Neo Geo.
That's a video game system for anybody out there who doesn't know.
Can't just get around video games here and there.
No, I mean, we're always going to... There's some guilty pleasure video games, too.
Oh, yeah.
Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like the Madden, though.
There's
Japanese
no substance, but you love to play
it. Hack and slash, it's always the same characters.
Yeah.
But it's like a warm blanket of... Oh, yeah.
Got this hack and slash repetitive.
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll up in this Chinese dynasty blanket that I've been in 1,000 times before.
Japanese made Chinese dynasty Americanized
Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Yeah, really
hack and slash. It's got like it's another thing with those corny lines in there. It's like, I'm justice.
Oh yeah, I hate it whenever they overlap and they just say it the same thing over and over. Oh, I've avenged my brother. I've avenged my brother. I've avenged my brother.
I am the sword of justice.
I am.
You have some other guy comes up like, no, I'm the bow and arrow of justice.
You killed my father.
Oh, your father killed my brother.
Well, we're even.
Justice.
That'd be funny if they're like, yeah, you know, your father killed my brother. Well, your sister killed my aunt. And they're like, all right, well, I guess we're even.
Yeah, oh.
And they just walk off.
Even Steven.
There's an old sitcom.
I never watched that.
I never watched it either, but I remember it coming on. That's what I'd change the channel.
Disney Channel?
Yeah, if that came on, the intro would come on with that claymation thing. I'd change the channel every time.
Why were you on the Disney Channel?
I guess I was watching
most of the time I would turn to
cartoon or something. I didn't watch it.
Honest.
Well, probably my sister watched it a lot, and she always watched those, you know, the opposite shows of what I wanted to watch.
You know what? Boy Meets World, that's another guilty pleasure one where I actually like that.
It's not that bad.
I think the later seasons I liked it better than the...
Yeah.
I can go back and watch those easier because it's just all kids in the first couple of seasons.
It's a little more Leave It to Beaver in the beginning.
Yeah, it is. I can't watch that show. I'm sure that's a guilty pleasure for someone.
I feel like I could watch like a couple of them just because, but yeah, I wouldn't watch very many.
Oh, gee, Wally.
Gee, Wally. I think I've only ever seen it once.
A lot of those really old shows had that, like a character where like one of your main characters was like Wally's like real reasonable, you know,
the straight
good guy, and then he had this friend who was just a real dick.
Yeah, it's never about that
like
kid.
Kimmy Gibbler.
Yeah.
In Full House.
Of course, all the main family characters are down to earth.
Fresh Prince, you had, what
was his name?
God, what was the guy who always got through out of the house?
Was it Jazzy Jeff?
That's who
played him. He really was.
Yeah. I think they just called him Jazz.
I think they did, yeah. Yeah.
But there was always that character, like Growing Pains. Mike Seaver had Boner. That's really just an excuse for me to mention that a character's name was Boner.
And probably not the only one. I'd say there's more. Wasn't there one? Wasn't that on something else too?
I think they made fun of it on Family Guy one time.
I think it was on the Cosby Show or something.
No, there wasn't a character named Boner.
I swear there was.
You're just thinking of Bill Cosby.
Oh.
With a boner.
I don't think that's what I'm thinking of. I don't think so. I don't know. Who am I thinking of then?
I don't have a clue.
Well, that's another one. Cosby shows. There's always a crazy friend or whatever.
Who was the crazy friend in the Cosby Show?
Who was, didn't Theo have a crazy friend?
Dude, Theo, come on.
Theo's a crazy friend himself, I guess.
I'm sure there was one. I don't remember. I used to watch that all the time, but it's been a long time since I've seen it.
I remember
now you can't watch that one without feeling guilty.
Just plain guilty.
It's like, man, I can never watch Ghost Dad again. I never intended to, but
that ruins my plans.
It ruins my plans of, maybe one day watching Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad. I don't even remember that.
Dude,
really.
It's not a good movie.
I remember hearing it, like that title.
I was excited to watch it when I was a kid, and then I watched it. It's like, that's depressing. Kid's dad was a ghost.
So what was it, like The Sixth Sense?
Yeah, they could see him.
Really?
And like he got hit like by a car or a bus or something. And he came back to them as a ghost.
Huh. That is depressing, huh?
It's very depressing.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not fun. Where's Fat Albert?
That's a guilty pleasure. I love watching Fat Albert
Really?
cartoons. They crack me up.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. Certain ones are kind of like dead or whatever. There's not that much going on. But the ones where they just constantly are putting out one-liners, oh, I laugh so hard at that.
I've not watched enough of them to know.
It has some of the worst animation I have ever seen.
Like, if you look back at like some 70s and like especially early 80s cartoons from America, they have the worst anime. Like He-Man.
Oh, yeah.
God, it looks like they barely used anything for the animation budget. They just drew a bunch of still pictures and
they storyboarded it and then just
released it. They're like, we're on a tight schedule here. All we got done is the storyboard. I put it out anyway.
Come on, we're going. It's live in 5 minutes.
I'm trying to sell some toys here.
Yeah. Ninja Turtles had some bad ones too.
Yeah, but like it had actual animation though. Like
stuff happened.
Yeah,
that's true.
I feel like Ninja Turtles had the same animation quality as Super Mario Brothers.
Well, yeah,
where they had those inconsistent things where something would be discolored like a frame.
Because they really had to get them out as fast as they could. That was a lot of episodes fast.
All right, sorry about that. We had a little computer hiccup there. I kind of lost track what was talking about. Dragon Ball Z.
My computer gave us a frowny face and said, "Sorry, gotta restart." It's got like a QR code and a frowny face. I'm like, is this real?
I thought it was like a virus thing.
I did too, but it had the real Windows stuff on there, so I think it was Windows getting with the times, being hip, putting frowny faces, emojis. QR codes. Let's not get on that. We're talking about something that wasn't that important.
Well, guilty pleasure stuff. Actually, since we were talking about Dragon Ball, I still think to myself, anime is considered guilty pleasure for a lot of people.
Especially certain ones.
Yeah, especially certain ones. I think to me, anime is like anything else, though. There's good ones and there's bad ones. You like what you like.
It is frustrating, though. We've talked about this before. People who just think all anime is the same thing. Yeah. And it really isn't. There's a lot of different stuff.
No, you got there's a big difference between Gundam and Sailor Moon.
Yeah, true. Or there's a big difference between Cowboy Bebop and Fruits Basket.
And Hamtaro.
Well, is that an anime?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Although Hamtaro does resemble something more like My Little Pony or something over here.
Yeah, it's something. I don't know. Something's weird about it. I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how varied it is. It's like anything.
Those and anywhere in between. And yeah.
It's like, I don't know. There's a lot of adult U.S. cartoons like Rick and Morty or something. So.
Is that canceled now?
No, they just haven't
renewed it
for another season.
Doesn't mean they're not popular.
Canceled. I don't know why they haven't.
I mean,
for all we know, they could be asking for a lot more money this time around.
Yeah.
And Cartoon Network's like, well, I'm not sure you're worth that much to us. So there's probably some behind the scenes stuff that.
I took Hero to Walmart the other day, and there's Rick and Morty toys in the kids' toys section.
Well, I don't think kids should be watching Rick and Morty.
That's what I'm saying. Why were there? I was surprised to see that. Like, I don't know where they would put it. I guess there's nowhere else to put them, but.
Well, of course, it's like Walmart too. They just see toy and probably go.
And yeah, to be fair, it's not the show. It's just toys of the show, but still, it was kind of strange.
Well, parents let their kids watch and do a lot of things they probably shouldn't know. So.
Oh gosh, yeah, the people who come in looking for games for their kids. You got GTA 5 for my 5-year-old? It's like, well, I mean, yeah, it's here.
It's like, yeah, I do. Here you go.
They do. Here it is, and then they are fine with it, I guess.
You do know that's an M rating on that game.
You know, there's some serious crap on there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what he likes. He likes serious crap.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I hope he doesn't become the next Austin Bomber. Did you hear about that?
Austin Bomber?
Yeah, the guy, like, he was mailing random bombs and stuff.
Oh, I thought that was his name.
Apparently, no, today, like, is today or yesterday, like, they were getting close to cornering him, and he, like, blew something up in his car, and it killed him.
Oh, wow.
So, who knows what that all was about.
Probably because he played GTA 5.
Yeah, as a 5-year-old.
As a 5-year-old,
which would be weird, because that's not enough
impossible.
time.
Yeah, true.
But, no, I mean, don't let your kids play or watch stuff they shouldn't be.
Yeah, especially to it. There's a line, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know, there's some things that aren't that big a deal.
Like Halo, sure, your kid can play Halo.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, it's basically just like, it looks like robots shooting lasers at each other. That's not that big a deal, really, but yeah, something else that's a lot more extreme. I mean, Grand Theft Auto is pretty extreme.
Like, even like Grand Theft Auto, if it was just the online part, it really wouldn't be that bad.
It's mainly the story parts that they force you to play.
Some torture parts and stuff in there.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, if they just let you run around the city and like
do whatever, like sandbox it,
that's not that bad, really. But yeah,
I mean, I'm sure I played some stuff.
Well, back when we were younger,
there weren't that many things that you couldn't get into much.
Yeah,
like I wasn't getting what's that thing for Sega called? That was the big
Mortal Kombat.
No, the other one, Night Trap.
Night Trap.
That was a big thing in that big debate. You know what's weird though, is you think about those video game debates, like of good and bad. Like, oh, I remember that back in the '90s, but it's came back since these news stories lately.
Although
it's like, how many times does it have to be proven that there's not like a good connection between?
Right. Yeah. Well, what about movies and stuff from before? They never said that about. Well, they probably did at some point.
They probably did at some point.
It's like, yeah, you watch like a war movie or something. What's the difference in that and playing a war game, or reading a war book? I don't know, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, most people who play like a Call of Duty or something, which is not very realistic if you actually play the stupid thing. But like most people just play it for competitive reasons. I mean, they just like to.
Yeah.
They're not like good at basketball, so it's like, well, I guess I'm playing this video game then.
Guess I'm playing NBA Jam.
Guilty pleasure, NBA Jam.
Did you know there's an NBA Jam on 64?
Is there?
Yeah, it's in a red cartridge.
Really?
I saw it the other day. I'd never seen it before.
Can you think of anything else in a red cartridge?
On 64?
Yeah.
Rocket Robot on Wheels.
I've seen a red cartridge before, but I can't remember what it was.
On Super, there's Doom and Maximum Carnage.
Yeah, I remember Doom. That was a big one back in the day, too.
Yeah. That was the first one where it started.
It just looks so benign now.
Yeah.
It's like if you had a tumor that was cancerous, this wouldn't be it.
Good analogy.
Anyway, actually, for like Call of Duty, that can go on the guilty pleasure list for me too. I don't go near it as much as I used to, but back in the day, it's like,
oh, that makes me think. One for me would be probably World of Warcraft.
Really?
Back doing dailies and stuff. I did it all the time, but it was pointless.
The only thing I like to do on World of Warcraft was hunt down people lower level than me and just kill them.
Well, supposedly they're phasing that out. Is what I heard.
That's the only good part. Of the game.
Yeah. Well, they're doing all these changes. Of course, I don't keep up with it anymore, but that's what somebody told me. They were going to start.
It's like I was really disappointed when Fortnite took out the ability to like harm your teammates.
I watched my sister play PUBG or whatever earlier, and it's not for me, but I see why people play it.
See, for me, those type of games are more about who I'm playing it with.
Having fun game. With people, yeah.
I couldn't sit there and play it alone, probably.
Well, she was having a rough time. She could not figure out how to use a gun, even.
Why was she playing it?
Well, she likes it, and she's played it before.
I didn't know she played any games at all.
Not much, but not much anymore. She used to play Red Dead Revolver with us, and she would play like Need for Speed, like the PS2 era.
Okay.
And then she'd play some like Mario World and stuff before that. But anyway, she was playing that. Caleb, her boyfriend, likes it, so I'm sure that's why she started playing it.
To be honest with you, I feel like Tetris should be a guilty pleasure for you, because Tetris is nothing. It's a nothing game.
Oh yeah, I used to hate it.
For me, it's Dr. Mario. That's my favorite of those kind of games. But
yeah. Pieces. I mean, gosh, I love that game.
I hate that game, and it's from one experience.
Oh yeah. Well,
it gave me a headache.
Mm-hmm. And now
I just associate it with a headache.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that I think it's easy for me to use that with people who have, with anybody. Anybody can play that game. Old people can play it, or people who aren't into video games that much, or people who don't play that many old games or new games or whatever.
People who like puzzles.
It's just a puzzle, so anybody can handle a puzzle. You can understand the point and all that, And plus, you can attack each other, so that gives it a little extra.
It's going in the guilty pleasure list. Puzzles.
Puzzle.
I like a good puzzle every now and then.
Yeah, I have to say, me too. I don't get them and put them together. It's a mindless thing.
I know. Every now and then I will.
I mean, I would. I just don't even think about it.
I don't usually, but every now and then, puzzle sounds pretty good, right?
So between puzzles and Dynasty Warriors and Tetris, we've realized that guilty pleasures are a lot of times things that don't have a point.
Like mindless
repetitive tasks. Yeah, that makes
with
sense.
No story really, or like in Dynasty Warriors case, a story that you've seen and is not going to change.
Well, if that's
that
the
story
case,
is not changing, it's a set in stone story.
If that's the case, I'm thinking of Centipede, because that's just the same thing over and over, and nothing changes. There's nothing extra. There's not even any music. But I just sit there and play the same screen all day.
Well, back in the day, the arcade days, the point of it was to
get a higher
competition.
score.
But now it's like you're sitting there with your own personal Centipede arcade machine playing against yourself. That's a little bit of a guilty pleasure.
Trying to beat the world record. But I'm not.
What's the world record for Centipede?
I think it's like 4.5 million.
What's the best you've done?
Like 250,000.
Well, that's a long way.
It's a long way away. I don't try to beat the world record.
You're way closer to the Ninja Gaiden record than you are.
I haven't played Centipede that much. I've never played it other than at the Coliseum. So there was just that, every once in a while for the whole time I was there, or not even the whole time I was there, like the last year I was there, I'd just go play it sometimes.
Really? I mean, I would say arcade games at all now would be guilty pleasure games. Because it's just like you pop in for a quick arcade. Oh, well, that was fun. We went to a place that had some arcade games.
It's a novelty, I guess,
Yeah, it's hard to separate those two, so I guess novelty from guilty pleasure.
True, yeah.
I think that interchanges a lot.
The thing, for some reason, every time I hear the word novelty, I think of...
a novel?
No. I think of Super Mario Kart.
Really?
And I think it's just because it's like, it's just a novelty that it's Mario on, racing.
That's actually a good game, though.
Yeah, I know. That's why
it's a solid racing game.
Yeah. It's definitely not a guilty pleasure. Because it's just a good game.
Unless you feel guilty about it.
Well, I don't think I do.
I guess any pleasure that you feel guilt about
is a guilty pleasure. Well, yeah.
We're starting to round this off with that, If you are getting pleasure from something and you feel guilty about it, shame on you. That's a guilty pleasure.
Shame on you. Go ahead and do it.
Go ahead and do it, but shame.
Shame
on you.
You're doing the finger thing, yeah. I was thinking that, but
it's I didn't do guilty pleasure. Shame on you.
Who did this?
I want to say Joey Gladstone from Full House.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure he didn't invent it.
Somebody,
right?
Yeah, who invented the
I think I'm thinking of the cut it out.
Cut it out.
Cut it out.
Now that's the guiltiest pleasure there's ever been.
That one thing from Full House is the guiltiest pleasure.
Cut it out.
In existence.
And I just kind of abbreviate it. I don't even do the whole, because he's real. Like
he's real animated, but I just kind of like move my hand from.
I do this part.
It's like I'm hitchhiking or something.
Cut it out. I just do that. Well, I think that's about.
Yeah, I think that's as bad as.
Because we don't have to go to exactly an
guilty
hour.
As we're going to get on today's podcast.
It's a good point to stop.
Well, thank you for joining us on the second episode of That's Pretty Good.
If anybody's wondering, like a lot of people I've talked to that have listened to this have come up to me and said, I don't understand what this is. I don't get what a podcast is.
What
are you supposed to do with it? You know,
you're supposed to listen to it.
And I'm like, well, a lot of people will just turn this on. Like, that's what I do with podcasts. I'll turn it on and do something else.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, well, that's kind of true. Sips is a guilty pleasure.
That's
watching true. Him or people like him. People
like anybody on YouTube really doing it.
Because there's no point, really. And you feel kind of like silly if you think about it.
As long as you enjoy it, that's what.
That's true, yeah. Well, that's the pleasure part, I guess.
Well, once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.